Things to Invest. We're talking about investing, finance, and professionalism for today's systems only. The investment I'm going to talk today will be Ethereum TKTH. It's my second posting of today. Respect to recording time of 1:51 p.m. on the Eastern Time. Ethereum currently trading $4,253, down about 6.81% so far. If you look at my left corner, you'll see that prominently the whole entire crypto market is down today, with a lot of bearish sentiments on the media front, but specifically driven by two specific macro catalysts from yesterday, and obviously durating until today, right? And one of the catalysts is with respect to the infrastructure bill that Joe Biden, which is the United States president, on signing that infrastructure bill. And within the infrastructure bill, right, per my early video that I posted yesterday and today, it contains a specific verbiage laying out the crypto tax provisions, okay? And with respect to the tax provisions, it's basically saying that whenever there's a crypto transaction that's worth over 10,000 US dollar, right, it has to be reported for tax purposes. And many people are worried or have some concerns around this restrictions or this compliance infrastructure, if you may, right? And whenever people hear anything along the line that they are going to be putting some enforcement on a specific thing that has to do with financial assets, people oftentimes have affectation around like that could subsequently marginalize my profitability, or that could hinder my fluidity with my liquidation events, or selling or buying, right? Because you have to disclose everything. It just become a little bit more of a hiccup, right? So this, despite to be serving as a good thing, for security and privacy infrastructure concerns, people still have that negative connotation because of that, and at the same time, it is kind of counterintuitive to the mantra of crypto assets as we know, right? So, I would say this sell-off is also another, just another reason for correction, right? For this bill is, it's like the pop the balloon type of affectation. This bill is serving us like the needle to the overinflated balloon that we've been blowing up already, right? Again, we've been keeping tabs, right? That we've been surging for the last 45 to 50 days, ever since when we were at the 2,732.94 at the bottom, where we surged up all the way to close to basically $150 away from $5,000, right? So technically almost 2x, in terms of a return on multiples for crypto in 50 days, right? So with that affectation, also with the technical matching towards it that we were screaming overbought at the 72 mark out of 70 on the RSI scale, and we've been forming a leap up, trying to break down several times on the technical. You can see the whale back is relatively elongated, that instead of being a whale, it's kind of like a skinny whale or like a long banana, if you may. So it was just a balloon popping affectation, also like buy the rumor type of sell the news type of affectation from the anticipated pressure that we get from the crypto bill, right? And then the other factor that I did not mention is with respect to Beijing, right, which is obviously China. They've been warning against the entire country on cryptocurrencies mining, right? And they say basically saying that if there's there will be some relatively serious consequences if there was any institution that was found to be mining crypto, right? It will be a highly regrettable consequence. I don't really see anything specific about what they mean by a highly regrettable or serious consequences, but I would assume that it will be relatively, maybe long life sentences in prison, or even death penalty or something like that. I know like China, they don't joke around whenever we when they're dead on serious, right? So that also drove some fear mongering, some sell off from not just in China but also internationally speaking, right? And this is kind of interesting because despite all of this negative affectation, it's kind of being meshed together with the taproot activation that happened on Sunday. So we did see a little bit of a surge. We were kind of hovering, sustaining around like the 64,000 for Bitcoin. But as we hear more of the confirmatory signal from the bill, from China crackdown, despite this upgrade being, good for a long-term value position for Bitcoin, right, with respect to its privacy, transaction efficiencies, and security, it still wasn't strong enough to sustain, or incentivize public investors to not sell, right, or corporate investors to not sell, right. So this is basically technical being in fruition. It's just coming true. So this is not a surprise. And on the news front, let's just keep tabs on how much we have been looking at so far. Beside the news that we talked about earlier this morning, I would say, collectively speaking, in the last 4 hours, I would say the news are relatively non-substantive. It's just a lot of news talking about what's been happening so far. Beside one news on Bazinga 1 hour ago, talk about $155 million in Ethereum was just transferred between two wallets. So nothing really, something that's worth mentioning to us. Is just because it's exchange doesn't mean it's like a whale dumping, because this transfer has nothing to do with actual transactional dynamic, right? It's just I could be transferring my holding from one wallet to another. It's like buying a new wallet. That doesn't mean you are losing or gaining money, right? You might be losing money because you are buying a new wallet, but that doesn't quite apply to what we're talking about here, right? Maybe there's some transfer fee or commission fee in between, but that's not really the key point of what they're trying to say, right? This is just a big number drop, if you may, right? All right, so let's go to the technical analysis. The news are relatively non-substantive, as we are mentioning. Right now, we are leaning towards more of an optimistic zone, so the buying opportunity is definitely coming. I am relatively bullish on this sentiment right now. I do appreciate a healthy correction, which I've been mentioning, right? So right now we're basically sustaining above the $4,000, right? You could see that we touch on it just $100 away, right? We were at the $4,096.14 earlier today. And the reason we got there is because we're matching with the consolidation level that we've durated from October 20th all the way to October 28th, right? So like a week of consolidation before the continuation of the leap up, right? So right now, I think because of the fact that we're still at the 45, I'll wait until we come back down a little bit more, right? I think ideally, we might get to the 4,000. As we break 4,000, we're going to go straight to the 3,850 or 3,750, right? Somewhere around this area. And I think within the 3,850 to 3,475, this is a great buying opportunity that I've been talking about for quite some time now, right? And this matches with the RSI scale as we deplete to below 35, right? Right now, we're still at the 45, so we still have some room to go down to. And I think we are demonstrating some propensity to go down further right now. So right now, buying a dip is not a bad idea, to be honest. I think it's actually relatively smart. This is a relatively sizable dip at 7%. And collectively speaking, we've been down more than like 17-20% so far. So not a bad idea to incur some risk, but not a lot, right? Just some minimal amount. And as we deplete even more, the risk will further decrease, right? And that's something we appreciate in a risk mitigation perspective, right? So this is supposed to happen. So nothing like I'm not a wizard. I'm not predicting the future. It's just that it was screaming overbought that it needs to recirculate the dollars for us to incentivize people to buy back in again to continue the rally. And this, we won't be going down to like the 1,750 ever again. Well, not ever again. We can never say never. But right now in the setup right now, I think is a healthy setup to go down. And then we will continue to rally as we percolate because it will be oversold. And then we will basically continue the rally that will be happening in a basically in the foreseeable future, sometimes around like late this year, possibly to Q1, most definitely, right? So Bitcoin right now is doing the same thing. We're at the 45, so I would do the same methodology and wait until we come back to the 56 first. But 56 not really substantive, right? But going to the 52, going to the 47. So I will buy anywhere between the 52 to 47 per our technical analysis, right? And then Dogecoin right now is at 23. So ideally buy at somewhere around like the 23, which is where we at right now, to 20 cents would be very logical, knowing the fact that with the 41, so we're not that far away from 35 out of 70. So Dogecoin dip is almost there, so incurring some risk now is not a bad idea, actually. So I think the dips are actually coming. Cardano right now, we broke to the 176, and this is because of oversold, and this is just people freaking out. The technical level should have been somewhere around like the 182, but people got freaked out even further because Cardano, and I don't blame them, right? Cardano is a more of a smaller in entry price. It's also more prone to sensitivity around market volatility. So we are at the 39 out of 70 right now. So I think the 187 was the dip. 176 was the mega dip. This is really great. I think Cardano is bullish. Definitely. I like this in terms of incurring risk. Solana down 6.4% right now with the 53, something we appreciate. So ideally coming back down, right, to somewhere around like I think if we break 200, we'll go to like the 186. But I think ideally for me, just wait until 138, right? There's no reason for it. I think we deplete to like the low 35. I think somewhere around like the 130-ish to 113 would be logical from the sell down. XRP right now, we broke 110, so we're going to go to 101. And I think we might not get all the way there, which makes sense, right? I think we might get just close to 101, and then that will subsequently recuperate because by then we'll be oversold. So I think XRP, the dip is not a bad idea to incur some risk right now, but I think the dip is pretty good. I would say 101. Like 105 is not a bad dip either. So just per your own risk aversion again, right? Polkadot is almost being oversold now, so ideally buy it somewhere around like the 30 to 25, like I keep saying, right? Algorand's down 11% right now, so we form a def cross, so that means more selling is coming. And I think ideally buy it somewhere around like the 160 to 152. Okay, we got there today already, so whoever bought it at that level or have been listening, congratulations. 150 was the dip, and this is the dip that some people bought in. And I think right now it's not a bad level either, but I think maybe 160 would be the green when the sign turns green for you. Right now it's still yellow in the street light perspective, you know what I mean? Like a traffic light. That's what I mean. Shiba Inu is frozen. Okay, there we go. We are still at the 50, so I think ideally some buying at around like the 750 to the 900 would be more logical for Shiba Inu. So for risk management levels, as we deplete to like the bottom on the RSI scale of 35 or below 35, these are levels I would ideally incur some risk, right? I think Bitcoin is it still have some room to fall down to, but the risk management level is definitely coming. It's definitely becoming more and more appetizing. Let's just put it that way, right? Weeks ago we could not, or I could not even like logically think that I would be incurring risk at. Now is a perfect time, or is a good time for you to like start allocating some cash reserve on the side and start dipping into the pool, right? And I think these are the levels that I would ideally buy dips at. And again, this is my risk aversion, right? Again, I'm not predicting that we'll go to these levels because like the whales could completely change the course of nature. And I don't know how the whales will behave. But logically, in a risk management perspective, these are levels I will feel comfortable buying at, right? So maybe put some orders in ahead of the dip would be very smart. You know what I'm trying to say? So hopefully this is helpful. Really appreciate you for dropping by again. It's just even though it's like a down day or a volatile couple of days, but still good in a long-term perspective, because this needs to happen for us to continue the market in a healthy perspective, right? So really appreciate you. Feel free, give me any questions, and stay tuned for the club. Take care. Bye.